Son of a gun. This is the Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network, where we talk US moto and anywhere the conversation goes. Today we're getting into some hard enduro and enduro cross talk with Factory Sherco's Cooper Abbott. How are you, dude?
Yeah, doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Nothing better than talking a bit of moto. I love these days where I get a few guests lined up and knock out a few podcasts. So it's always a good time, man. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, so we've just had Erzberg, and you missed out. You got injured beforehand. How's the injury going, man? How's your shoulder? Yeah, shoulder.
Yeah. Shoulder. It was at so we had a back-to-back. It's called the Keystone Challenge in Pennsylvania. So they think it's smart to put two hard enduros on back-to-back days, which is one's already brutal enough, but a second it's even more brutal. So unfortunately, yeah, 5 minutes in. Uh, Dumb little crash, not even in a super hard section. I mean, it was little slick rocks had rained the night before, and man just landed on my shoulder wrong. Popped out. Luckily, I hadn't popped it out before, but luckily it got back in really quick and not too much damage on the inside. Luckily, just really strained the muscles. Went back out there, but it was not ideal to be riding with, and unfortunately, yeah, couldn't go to Erzberg, which was kind of already the plan before that, just because things lining a bike up and stuff was a bit more difficult with Sherco this year between France and the USA since they're completely separate entities.
Okay.
But
Yep.
but Webb luckily was able to line one up, which was kind of last second. But it's real unfortunate that he got hurt.
Mm,
He's been riding really well. I mean, as everybody's seen with his battles with Tristan and all that. And I mean, you saw Tristan got second, so
yeah.
I know that one frustrated him not being able to race with how well he's been riding. So it's it's obviously a bummer watching. I obviously want to be out there no matter how difficult and how tough it looks. It sucks sitting on the sidelines, and you definitely want to be out there. It's such a cool experience getting to go to Austria, and that mountain in person is it's insane. Last year was my first year, and you picture what it looks like in your head, and until you're there, it's quite unbelievable.
Mm. Yeah. It's on my bucket list just to go to as a spectator. I definitely would never be even close to, not
Yeah,
even in the same realm as that sort of skill
yeah,
to ever even have a go at it. But the I'd love to go as a spectator. It looks like a good time. The
yeah.
whole week, the party they have in town and the beer hall that they have,
Mhm.
and just it sounds like a real good time. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's
it's pretty insane. Like the whole week is pretty crazy. I feel like it's such a build up to the main race and stuff. And I mean, for so many people, it's pretty much just a party. And
yeah.
yeah, going to the parade down the streets. I mean, you can drive down the road before the parade even starts and see burnouts from the previous years. And I saw this year actually they had a couple like wood grates that made people pull up onto to do burnouts. But I don't know if there's a problem this year with it or not. But I did see that with some things. But then I saw some people doing it in the streets again. So it's pretty insane and a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I like it. I like how the Europeans get pretty loose with things like that. That's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
good one.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
there's no way that happens in Australia. Like, no
No,
chance. Like,
no, yeah, USA probably wouldn't be too pumped either. I mean,
yeah,
you'd have to be in a town that is real quiet and super into
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah,
bikes.
yeah. That's right. Dude, is any who's gonna step up and challenge and stop Manny? He's too good at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, man, Manny, kind of like, I mean, Billy spoke a lot on it during the broadcast. Is he's just really good all around, and I know I've talked to Tristan about it and like what makes him so good, and he said he just doesn't make big mistakes, and I think Billy spoke on that as well. Is he really does a good job at just being very well rounded and very good in every area, whether it's slick conditions, dry conditions, hill climbs, big rocks, kind of like Carl's Diner. I mean, you could see like looking at the times between
Mm.
when Tristan got into second. I mean, there was I think the two tree sections he pulled like 10 plus minutes in each one, and other than that, they were very close in time. And I know how good Tristan is in the trees. So I mean, if Manny's pulling that much, it's pretty insane. So I think he's just really good all around. And man, I don't know how he gets there, but definitely a lot of practice.
Yeah. Well, as we know, he's he grew up following his dad around.
Yeah.
I mean, you grew up following your dad around,
Mhm.
but not in so that sort of like in not in those Erzberg conditions. Like
Yeah.
Manny, like Andreas would have had Manny riding stuff like
Hmm.
riding rocks that size when he was like 12 years old and stuff. So it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I
amazing.
think I think his first Erzberg, I think he was 16 because I think you have
Mm,
to be 16 to do it. And
yeah.
I don't know what he got, but I'm pretty sure he did pretty well at 16 there. And I think um, I don't know what age he won it at his first year. I know it was 30 in a row, so I think he's close
Mm,
to my age. But yeah, he's been doing it for a while, and the mountain changes a lot. But from at least from what I've heard and what the guys know, it is a very similar track each year. They always add a
mm.
few surprises for sure. That yeah, Carl likes to add and surprising people, but I definitely think each year you go back to that mountain, it definitely helps.
Yeah, it's great. It's my Obviously, I'm a with the show how it is. I'm a big motocross and supercross fan,
Mhm.
but I love off road as well. And my favorite thing to watch that's not an AMA event is the Erzberg. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just awesome, and I love all the and I'll watch the other ones if I get a chance. Road Maniacs and all that sort of stuff. And
Mhm.
it's such a the camaraderie between them all is amazing, isn't it? Like it's such a
Yeah.
friendly sport, like they're all just nice guys and they help each other out and it's all, it's a very, very friendly atmosphere, isn't it? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Billy and
Yeah.
Manny train together and all this
Yeah.
sort of stuff. Like
Yeah,
it's really
it's
cool.
pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, as you know, like motocross, I mean, it seems like more nowadays those guys are training together a little bit more. I know with like Chase and Ken, and I mean,
Mm,
I see that from the outside, and seems like they're starting to train together a little bit more. And but I mean, you can still t tell that there's those cliques in moto, and I feel
mm,
like on the off-road side of things, there's not really too many of us that don't get along. I feel like
yeah.
all of us get along pretty well, and get to ride together quite a bit during the off season, and I mean, kind of all season, to be honest. We obviously live different places, but during the race season, we try to travel to each other's places. Kind of, each of us live in different kind of conditions, so it helps to train in each area. But yeah, I mean, hard enduro is so different. I mean, you're obviously racing each other, but it doesn't matter. You're racing such a gnarly course that it's like, as much as you want to race the other person, you have to be focused on the course itself and not really even worry so much about the other person. And I mean, as you see, sometimes they have to help each other. Like I
Yeah.
saw some videos from Erzberg where I think it was like I think Graham and Mario were teaming up
Yeah.
in a section.
They helped each
I
other
mean,
towards
everybody,
the end
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, obviously, I'm sure they're tired and stuff at that point, but I mean, you know how good of a rider Mario and Graham is, and
Mm.
for them to be helping each other, it's pretty crazy.
It's when I was watching that, I was just thinking like, because you know how the TV doesn't do justice to the
No.
angles. It never does. In it, it's a strange thing that it never ever does any justice. And I see Graham is stuck on that. He's sort of basically stuck where there was a big greasy tree root.
Hmm.
And I'm just thinking, just imagine how bad that actually is if that
Yeah,
guy's stuck there, because I've been stuck in greasy tree roots a lot of times.
yeah, yeah.
And they're probably not even a quarter as deep as what that is. And,
Hmm.
he's trying all his tricks and he knows all the tricks, it's amazing when those guys struggle,
Yeah,
man. That is tough
yeah.
stuff.
You,
Yeah.
you know how brutal it is. It's pretty crazy. That's the hard part about hard enduro is like you take videos of things, you're like, oh, this section's so gnarly. And you're like, oh, like for our practice, you're like, oh, take a video of this. And you watch the video and you're like, man, it looks dumb. Like it looks like we're struggling on something so small, but
Yeah.
it's so gnarly. And until you see it in person, and like, I mean, obviously I wasn't there to see that in person, but I know relatively how steep it is. And if like his rear slides down an inch, he's pretty much got to go redo the whole thing. And that's
Mm.
wasting a lot of energy and the bike flipping back down it. So, I know there's a section where I watched where Manny kind of had a similar problem. I don't know if it was the same hill or not, but he barely saved it. Like he was on the other side of the bike and like the bike was being
Mm.
held up by the root. And man, it was like a millimeter away from going all the way back down the hill. And luckily he saved it and saved himself a lot of time as well.
Yeah. No, it is cool, man. Very cool. Dude, we might get into my favorite part of the show where I ask about your early days and so I know how you were introduced to dirt bikes. That's pretty obvious with your dad,
Yeah.
with your dad Destry. You would have been watching him ride as your whole life. But do you remember your first ride or your first bike or anything like that?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I obviously always had a bike growing up with my dad riding for Kawasaki and stuff. I did have like a little 50 at one point and then a 65 and 85 kind of moved up. But to be honest, from the time I was on mini bikes until I got on a big bike when I was 14, I think it was, I'd only ridden probably 10 to 15 times. Like it was not a ride all the time kind of kid with
Yeah.
my dad and stuff. But yeah, I always went out to the track and I enjoyed going out to the track and watching. And um, I played a lot of other sports with basketball, ran track, football. Kind of played a lot of other sports, which I really enjoyed at that time, and kind of was going more towards the basketball direction for trying to reach a professional side of that at one point. And then I don't know, I mean, something just kind of clicked. I found endurocross and really enjoyed that, and then did some works races as well, and really started enjoying that when I was like 14, 15, and then kind of just clicked. And I had to choose between basketball and racing at that point when I was, I think, 16. And uh, the odds of me going professional in basketball were not too high. And obviously, I not saying I could have gone professional at that time in racing, but it was something I had a better direction at and kind of more of a guide to be able to do so.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, I just enjoyed riding a lot more at that time. So, I mean, I always had a bike growing up just from with my dad with Kawasaki and stuff. They'd lend him one for a year for me to ride until I'd grow up and have another one. But realistically, I think I rode it 15 times. I would have to guess. I mean, that's a random guess, but I would say it's pretty accurate until I got on a big bike when I was like 14 or 15.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And so when you were riding as a young fella, was that just like in the desert, just with dad, just cruising around, or did you do any like junior races or anything like that?
Yeah, I know I did. I know I did a couple races when I was younger, like on a 50 and a 65. I think I did like two races. Pretty sure I got last, if I remember right. So I rode around. I'm sure I was on the ground a lot, but I don't fully remember them. I know I have some pictures from my first ever race, which was on a KTM 50 actually, and that was fun. I mean, I remember going very, very slow around the course and all that. But no, I mean, I really just he would go out and train at the motor track, not too far from our house and where his house is now as well. But he would go out and ride moto and had his kind of his off road tracks near there as well. And they had a little pee wee track, and I remember just riding around like that. And I remember when I got older, there was like a little ski jump kind of thing. And as I got older, I started like measuring how far I could jump a ski jump, and I was going like 4 or 5 feet at the time, but at the time it felt so big. So I don't know if that's kind of what sparked the energy, was kind of like the goal to try to jump further and further or whatever it may have been, even though it wasn't that far at that time. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of fun for me riding the Pee Wee track. And then it kind of escalated very quickly once I kind of moved on to a big bike, is really kind of what sparked it all.
Mm. Yeah. Did is the big bike thing? Is there a particular thing about that big bike that made the difference, or was it just an age thing? Like you're tall, you're tall. Were you always a big kid?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of skinny but lanky.
Yeah.
Now I'm not as skinny, but I don't know. I think it was really more so a timing thing with age.
Yeah.
I kind of needed to hop on a big bike when I was like 14, 15 because I had like a growth spurt and I grew like 7 inches over summer. So it was like, it was pretty crazy. I was going to be way too big for an 85 and I still couldn't really touch on the 250F. I never went to 125, just went straight to 250F and could like, my dad and sister would have to catch me when I had to come to a stop. Otherwise I'd fall over. So I kind of think it was just an age thing and really just starting having more fun with it at that age. So I don't know if it was necessarily the bike situation, but I think it was more so timing.
Yeah. And then so pretty quickly then, so like 16 and then into the big bikes and then into getting into enduro cross and hard enduro. It all
Mhm.
happened pretty quickly for you then, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think my first year of Endurocross, I made a bet with my sister made a bet with me. I think when I was 15 at the last Endurocross, which I think was in Vegas at that time, and made a bet like I don't even know what the bet was about, but that I would race the first round of the Endurocross the following year. And I think I had ridden over one log my entire life at that point, so kind of joked about it, and for some reason I agreed to it. And the next year, the first round, I showed up. I actually had ridden a decent amount of Endurocross, but I was only supposed to do the first round, and I enjoyed it so much that I ended up doing, I think, 4 rounds that year or 6 rounds, whatever it may have been. Um, and I didn't make a single main. I'm pretty sure I got last in every LCQ that first year. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, that was really what hooked me was Endurocross. And then I started doing works as well with that. And then later on, obviously, I got introduced to hard enduro. As the works races started getting a lot faster in speed, I realized I started liking the more technical. I like moto and all that, but they just started getting so fast and square edge, and definitely enjoyed the more tighter technical stuff. Even though as much as it's a struggle sometimes, it's still more fun to me than holding it wide open through the desert. Which, since my dad did that, everybody thinks I love that stuff, and definitely a different in that way.
But your dad also, he was a bit of a enduro cross pioneer as well. Like right when it was taken off, he was
Yeah,
he was right into that. Him and would have been him and like Brownie. There's a bunch of guys
yeah.
that really sort of got into the enduro cross when it
Hmm.
was really starting to take off there in the states. Yeah,
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 him and probably Jeff Aaron and a few other guys. I mean, Taddy was around pretty early on, and
mm,
Niter and all that. So there was a good chunk of guys there. But yeah, he was there the very first year. I don't remember the exact year. I want to say '06 or '08 or something around that time. Was the first year, and yeah, he was there first year all the way until, man, I don't remember the last year he did it, but probably 2017 or so. 2016, I think, when he got sick, would have been his first year that he did that, or last year, I mean, that
yeah.
he raced Endurocross. So he had done it for a while, and so I think that was kind of fun that I was able to ride with him as
Mm.
I started choosing to do it. And then obviously I was getting lapped a lot, but it was cool to kind of see the progress, and maybe year after year I'd get lapped one lap less. So that was kind of a cool experience to have.
And now you've got him covered, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, it took a little longer than I wanted to have him covered in pretty much most disciplines now. So, it's cool to be able to beat him now, and now I can back it down and mess with him riding. But he can still go fast for a few minutes at a time. So, get him anywhere over 5 minutes, and it starts going downhill. But the first 5 minutes, he still goes pretty good.
Yeah, no, he's yeah. I've said to people before, you realize how much of a legend your dad is, yeah. Like
Yeah.
you've got that figured out. Because I know when kids are young, sometimes they just sort of, he's just my dad, whatever.
Yeah.
But you'd be at that age where you sort of realize, like, wow, my dad was a legend, So
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool getting to ride with him, and you don't obviously don't realize, you just think he's your dad
yeah,
at the time. And
yeah.
yeah, obviously he's had a lot of accomplishments that are not easy to come by. So it's pretty cool to be able to learn a lot from him and be able to kind of try to put that into my riding and racing today. Even though he still did some hard enduros, but I've kind of transferred more over to the hard enduro side, which he has obviously can still help out with a lot, but definitely a little bit of a different discipline and riding techniques. I mean,
Mm,
even just I feel like year to year the techniques change. So
mm.
many things I feel like I learn over time, each month and each riding just with the guys. I mean, it's so crazy how much the riding technique, even from just enduro cross slash super enduro to hard enduro, the techniques change so much. It's weird. It's like having to relearn it all over again. Not much translates riding style wise.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you do any like cross training on a trials bike?
Yeah, yep. So I have a trials bike from Sherco. So I that's obviously an area I didn't. I always had a trials bike as well, like pretty at a pretty young age, and I enjoyed that, but never took it very seriously. Kind of just rode it. It was fun to me to ride around the backyard. We had a little trials kind of area around the backyard to ride, but yeah, I ride trials quite a bit. Try to ride at least once, twice a week.
Mm,
Definitely no top trials rider, but I do enjoy it, and it definitely the more I ride trials, the more I mean I can notice it translates to the hard enduro side, and even on the enduro cross side as well. I mean, you see all the top hard enduro guys are
mm.
pretty much all trials guys. I mean, even at Erzberg, you see a lot of top world trials guys that are now switching to the enduro side. I mean, later towards their trials career,
Mm.
just because hard enduro you can be a lot older and kind of use some experience. So, I mean, some of those guys have only been on an enduro bike for a year and they're already insane just because of their trial skills that they can translate.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've never ridden a trials bike. I've always wanted to. I still would like to get one day and just yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not much of a rider, but it it'll probably still
yeah.
make me a bit better. I'll be not quite as shitty,
Uh,
So
yeah,
yeah.
no, you're good. Yeah, it's definitely beneficial to have one. I mean, I know a lot of supercross, motocross guys even actually have a few of them. I know
Mm,
Dean Wilson has gone out in California and he has one, and I don't know if he still has one at this point, but he would go out and ride with some of the guys as well, which is pretty neat. And it's definitely an awkward feeling to ride a trials bike, just where the handlebars are so rolled forward and just the weight of where you sit on the bike and stuff. I mean, you don't sit, but the weight of where you stand on the bike is definitely different and weird to get used to at first. Even when I switch from my enduro, if I haven't ridden trials in say 2 weeks, I hop on it. I'm like, oh, this thing feels so awkward. So it's definitely a different feeling to ride a trials bike, but it's so helpful and teaches you so much about balance and clutch control and just wheel placement and everything along with that.
mm. So you do a little bit of training, don't you? Is that right? You do a bit of training, train kids and
Yes.
that? Yep.
So my dad does all his training with the D8 training, so he does a
Mm,
lot of that. And as I was growing up, and I would help a lot with a lot of those classes, really until I would say the last few years or so. I don't help out as much. I'll still do help him usually at all the enduro cross races he puts on in a training class, which I'll help with usually each year. But I don't help out with like his day to day or week to week classes as much anymore unless it lines up with my schedule to help out with like a big group that he has. Just because racing and riding and training is takes up a lot more time than it used to. So don't get to help out with those classes as much, but it's so cool to help people and teach them little things that some people have only been riding for a short time, and you can teach them something, and you can tell when it clicks like in their head, and you can see it, and they're all happy and excited to go tell their friend that they learned something or just go show them how much faster and better technique that they have. So it's pretty cool to be able to watch people grow with the training side of things.
mm. Very, very rewarding. Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, the only time I mean, like I've said, I'm not a great rider, but I've helped teach kids just like real beginner stuff, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's it's real rewarding just
yeah.
when you see a kid just starting to leave his feet on the pegs and things like
Hmm.
that,
Yeah,
and
so they're
just
just all the way out the whole time. Yeah,
yeah, just basic things like that, or a kid finally get figuring out the clutch, and when they first get on a
yeah.
bike with a clutch,
It's definitely difficult for them.
it's very very rewarding to see that. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's your
absolutely.
what's your future goals? Obviously, I reckon now an Erzberg finisher has got to be one. What else, man? What else is your future
Yeah,
goals?
yeah, definitely an Erzberg finisher. That's one. The plan is already to go back next year. Hopefully, be healthy to where I can go and do so. Um, and then obviously, enduro cross is kind of more towards my forte a little bit. I feel like more my area that I shine in a little bit more. So obviously, to win some races this year starts in October. So the goal is to go win some races and try to put ourselves in the championship fight this year. That's obviously the goal. We've already been doing a little bit of testing with Sherco on the two stroke. So I'll be on a two-stroke again this year, which I'm excited about. So I made a switch. I've always been a four-stroke guy, and this year I made a switch to the two-stroke for endurocross. So it was a bit of a learning, and I finally figured out and got a podium at the end of last year there. But excited to stick with that this year. And yeah, the plan is to go over to Europe again and race super enduros, which I'm really pumped about. It's pretty neat to race against Billy and all those guys in Europe. I mean, they're very talented and a lot more trials guys over there in Europe that race super enduro. So it's cool to see their techniques and transfer over to that. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to get podiums over there as well and just kind of build on that. And then obviously at the end of the day, the goal is to win championships, but you kind of got to build. So that's the plan, is try to win some races, get more podiums, and then just put yourself in the thick of things for the championship and do all you can to win it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, the US. So yeah, I did look. I looked up your results. Always look, whenever a guest coming on, always freshen up on their results. I saw you got a podium in the US, the US Enduro Cross there. Yeah. How many was that your first podium, or had you podiumed in previous seasons? Or
yeah, so the year prior, I think it would have been the year prior. Actually, no, 2 years prior to that, I had quite a few. I think 2020 was my first podium. I had one podium that year at Glen Helen. I think that was COVID year. I think it was. So one podium that year. We stayed at Glen Helen for all 6 or 8 rounds or whatever it was, and they changed the track a little bit. But yeah, I got a moto win there and a podium overall. And then I had 4 podiums in 21. So that was pretty neat. So I finished second in the championship in 2021 behind Colton Haker. So Tristan got hurt right towards the end of the year, so Tristan and I were close in points, and then Cody was out as well. So obviously, I would like for all the guys to be there to be able to say I got second, but it's still cool to battle with all those guys. And yeah, it's I've been learning each year. Obviously, 22 is a bit of a struggle, just switching bikes and stuff, learning it. And last year I felt like was a really good building year, something that we can really build off of into this year. And I feel like we're in a good spot and can kind of put myself back up there and kind of continuously be that podium guy and hopefully win some races this year.
Nice. That's a go. How is Cody? He what was his injury before? I know he crashed in the prologue at Erzberg.
Yeah.
What did he actually do? Like I know, high speed crash or something. But what did he hurt? Is he okay?
Yeah. So he's all good. So I don't know. I mean, he kind of posted a little bit something on Instagram. So yeah, I talked to Cody quite a bit, a few times a week. So he went and saw the ortho yesterday, I believe it was, and he has a bone bruise on his wrist over his scaphoid. Just he had all symptoms of a broken scaphoid, but luckily they said it was just very bruised and didn't need that. And then he has partially torn ACL. Luckily, it's not all the way torn.
Okay.
So he said 6 weeks recovery, and then he'll be back on the bike, and I'm sure back up at the top with battling with Tristan and all those guys. So yeah, I mean, man, the guy's really been on it this year, and unfortunate injury in one way, but I mean the timing of it is, I mean, it is on his side. Luckily for the championship side of things, I think we have like almost 2 months until the next hard enduro round in the US. So as much as it's unfortunate, I mean the timing couldn't have really been better for that. So I know he wanted to do well at Erzberg, and I think he had a really good shot for a podium. And hopefully, I mean, Manny was riding really well as always, but I know he had a good shot there to do well. But yeah, timing was, I mean, definitely on his side in that way. So nobody wants to get injured, but if you do, you definitely want it to be at a time where it's not going to affect the championship, which he's leading on the US hard enduro side.
The US hard enduro, it's a bit hard to follow the as a guy that's just I can't watch or anything, and just looking up the results and that it's a bit hard to follow this. So there's an Eastern races and Western races, and then a national championship, and like I'm all a bit confused about it. Like everybody's not at every race, and
it's a bit confusing. I think a lot of them, they're still, obviously it's not technically AMA sanctioned yet. You have to be in business for a few years before it's AMA sanctioned. So from what I know, it's going to be an AMA series next year, and it'll be a lot more organized, and just the schedule and results will make a lot more sense. I know there's some things in the works to kind of not. There will still be East and West, but everybody will be at every single one, and everyone will be for national points. So it is kind of confusing. People are like, "Why are you not at that one?" Or somebody's at this one and not that
Yeah.
one. So that obviously all of us are contracted to do the national ones, which I think there's like 6 or 7. But then there's so many East and West different ones that you can do. So I think a lot of them are more testers to see if they would work as a national. So they want to test it, see if it would be something good versus throwing it straight into a national round, and it not going as successful as they'd like, or being as difficult as it needs to be. So yeah, definitely is confusing even for me. Like looking at the schedule, it's definitely weird because you see some people podium at some races that maybe don't do as well at a national level for those ones. So um, next year should be a bit more organized and should be just probably one schedule from what I know, as a national series.
Yeah, which will be good. Good for the sport,
Yeah,
good for the sport.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that'll gain a more of a following for fans
Hmm.
and that sort of
Yeah,
thing too. When
absolutely.
it's easy to sort of get to know the front runners and
Hmm.
that sort of thing, and yeah, if it's easy for the fans to sort of understand what's going on,
Yeah,
that'll be that'll be good for it. Yeah, yeah. So I guess
yeah,
like who's the big team? So obviously Sherko, yourself, and Cody, and then Tristan on the KTM. Who else? Like who else is
yeah. I mean,
the front
yeah,
runners?
you have Cody and I over on Sherco, the factory side, and then KTM is just Tristan, for hard
Okay.
enduro,
Yep.
and then Husqvarna has Ryder LeBond and Colton Haker.
Oh yeah, Colton.
So
Yep.
that's their two guys. Ryder's a young guy that's pretty consistent podium guy.
Yep.
And then a fellow Aussie for you, on the gas
Oh,
side would be
Gus.
Will Reardon.
Oh,
But
Will. Yeah,
Gus
Gus's
is
brother.
on,
Yeah.
GNC
Yeah,
side.
that's
So
right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Will, I mean, had 2 podiums at Pennsylvania, and
Yeah.
I know he was bummed not to go to Erzberg as well. So
Mm,
um, those guys really wanted to be there as well. So it's definitely the logistics of that is difficult. But yeah, Will's been riding really well as
mm.
uh, getting 2 podiums in Pennsylvania, and he's been spending a lot of time with Tristan as well. I know, and definitely has been showing results, being on now the factory gas side.
Yeah, and they got what's those, the old gas bikes, the
The
Rejuice, however you say it. I'm not sure.
Riehu, yeah.
Reju, is it? Yeah.
I don't know how to actually what the correct way.
Yeah, no,
Riehu,
I don't know. I've never.
Reju.
Yeah,
So I don't know the actual correct terminology, but yeah, they have
yeah. They're getting
Quinn
pretty
Wenzel.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been making a big push, especially in Europe, it seems like. And yeah, they have Quinn Wenzel and Hayden Moza, I think, on their factory side. And yeah, I feel like there's more brands. Beta has been making a bigger push. Obviously, on the European side, they have Johnny Walker, and then on the
Yes.
U.S. side, they have Danny Lewis, who's kind of I think their main factory guy on this side. I think he's got a little injury or a health issue right now, so he hasn't been racing the last couple. And then they have a few satellite guys like James Flynn and a few other support guys. So I feel like it's definitely growing,
Mm.
with the sport and getting more manufacturers into it. It is hard with the hard enduro side because I mean you see everybody's on a 2-stroke. It's not like motocross where I mean Yamaha, Honda. It's unless you're in like an 03, 04
Yeah.
CR 250 or something like that and
Yeah.
built it out, but it'd be difficult to keep up with
Yeah.
all the new generation 2-strokes that are out. So it is a little bit limited in some of the areas, with riders and brands to be able to join on the hard enduro side. But I think over the years it'll continue to grow and more people will come out with a hard enduro or off road more so bike.
It'd be cool if they do though too. Like
Mhm.
it's growing, man. Like in Australia, it's the same. Like hard enduro stuff, and that is just it's really growing. There's a lot of people young riders gravitating
Mhm.
towards that sort of thing, and yeah, the Japanese manufacturers at some stage in the future, they might get pushed a
Yeah.
little bit. I could see Yamaha doing something.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah, I
all of
know
them,
they
I could
have.
see Yamaha do something. But yeah.
Yeah, I know they have their European version, like the Fantic of the Yamahas, which I know is like I'm not sure how their deal works out, but it's pretty
Yeah.
much a Yamaha, and I know they have a 302 stroke. Fantic does.
Oh, do
Uh,
they? Yeah.
at least I believe it's released. I'm pretty sure the Enduro GP
Yeah.
guys are on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something that Yamaha in the future maybe is testing. I have no clue. But yeah, I mean, I feel like with Triumph coming in, and I know there's some stuff that they're going to release that could go towards the off-road side as well in the
Yeah.
future. So that would be really cool for them to kind of come into the off-road side. I mean, you see Mike Brown's there, which he obviously had a successful supercross motocross career, but then also spent a good chunk of years on the off-road side. So, and then a former Sherco mechanic, Cody Richelderfer, is building motors at Triumph now. Who he was pretty much our team manager at Sherco for a while, so he's over there as well. So there's definitely some off-road people over there, which is cool. Obviously, they're just on the supercross, motocross side because that's all they have now. But I think with that brand growing and so many others, I feel like they're kind of everybody's going to start getting forced into kind of making somewhat of an off-road bike, I would imagine, with how much it's growing. And I mean, you see how much KTM, kind of dominates some of the areas in racing. And I mean, they, from what I know, sell way more off-road bikes than motocross bikes. And I mean, they have I don't even know how many models they have, but they have like 20 different off-road models, and from each manufacturer. I mean, between KTM, Husky, and Gas. I mean, they have so many different off-road models for kind of every type of person. Because with Supercross, motocross, it's really fun. Like I really enjoy riding moto, and I would love to do an outdoor eventually. But it's, I mean, as you see, I mean, they talk about how old Eli Tomac is, and I mean, I don't know what he is actually. He's like 30, I think.
He's about 30.
Which, which, I mean, you look at Webb's 36, and he's winning the races. So on the off-road side, I mean, you have 40, 50-year-olds that enjoy riding, and most of them aren't going to be going to the moto track, and they're going to be more towards the off-road side of things. So it's definitely an area that I feel like more people are pushing towards. Even with the Japanese bikes, they're coming out with at least 4 strokes that are more, have an 18-inch rear wheel and a kickstand and certain little things like that. But I mean, that's kind of all bolt on. So it'll be interesting to see if they do transition more towards like an off-road 2-stroke or more off-road oriented.
Yeah. Even just a lot of just normal, like down here, a lot of just normal off-road races are getting more technical, and slower, more technical sections in them and that sort of thing than they used to have, because people love that sort of stuff. So if they're good at it, they do. Popular. I don't love it because I'm not good at it. So
you don't want to drop the bike and dent a pipe. People look at my bike and they're like, "Man, your pipe is so dented." And I look at it, I'm like, "Oh, that's not a bad one. That's a pretty good condition one right now." So it is funny. So I know some people that are on the moto side, and I'll take them on some semi-technical trails, and like, "Oh, this is so gnarly." I'm like, "Oh, you don't want to see the other stuff then." So it's still cool to see when moto guys will transition and ride just some off-road stuff. So
it's especially when they're a moto guy that's never done off-road, like when they're a kid that's just done moto, and then and they, even if they're super fast, and they'll go on a trail ride, and they come across stuff, and they just, that when they've got to especially when they've got to back the throttle off, basically they just don't get it. Like, it's just like, they're stuck on a root or a rock, and they're just wide open, and stuff
you're getting no traction holding that thing wide open. So
that's when
smooth throttle.
That's when an old bloke like me, that's just got thousands of hours of trail riding under his belt, can go past them and feel like a real smart ass, because I'm the old guy that knows how to back off and get a bit of traction up a hill and stuff like that. And then
the kid will pass him, and then he'll go right back by him at the next hard section. So
Yeah,
it's
it's a
funny
funny thing.
it's funny
Yeah.
to see that happen.
Yeah. It's when the old boys with a bit of throttle and clutch control get their own back when that happens sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it, man. That's it. Hey, I might just do a little ad read, man.
Yeah, perfect.
So the show, I'm very proud that the show is sponsored by Guts Racing, gutsracing.com. Guts Racing seats are winning all over the world. We had RJ Hampshire win his Supercross title. He's using that Guts seat. Lucas Conan was just winning MXGPs on the weekend on a Guts seat. Jed Beaton down here in Australia, he won the Manage Him Up 15,000 with a Guts seat. So they're winning all over the world. Lots of teams, so Factory Husqvarna in the States and in Europe using Guts seats. Also Club MX, Phil, everyone's favourite rider, Phil Nicoletti, he's out there on a Guts seat. PRMX, those boys, Mitchell Harrison, Aaron Tanti up in Canada at the moment, racing the Canadian Nationals on a Guts seat. Also Moto Concepts Honda, AO KTM, Next Level KTM, Phoenix Honda, and Hep Suzuki, Kenny and Chiz out there on their Guts seats. And also countless privateers. As Scott Meshy, as a privateer hero Scott Meshy says, they are a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. From Guts, you can obviously get seat covers. You can get complete seats. You can get new foams. You can get the ultra light seat foam. You can get custom foam with a bump. The old seat bump is coming back into fashion again. There's also the wide wing seat that gives you a bit more width around where you want to grip with your knees. Tall seats for the if you're like Cooper Rabbit and you're a tall guy. Huge range of colors. Pretty much if you can imagine a color, they do it. The website's fantastic. You can go on there. You can choose a color for the side, for the top, for the ribs. You can add ballistic material to the sides if you are a guy that's got some hardcore knee braces and you are tearing up the sides of your seat. You can even get Velcro fitment seats if you don't want to tackle one with the traditional staple fitment. So get around that, gutsracing.com, the best seats in the world. Also, I've just been mentioning over a few shows, we have a contest going for a free seat cover for veterans. So myself and a couple of friends, we did a special show on Memorial Day. So my two friends, Cody and Felipe, are veterans who are also keen moto fans and have ridden moto and that sort of thing. So we did a military appreciation show. And from that show, so the details are in there if you have a look at that show. But also, if you are if you're a veteran who rides or veteran whose kids ride, email me aussiesteve569@gmail.com or just DM me on socials. Either of my Instagram socials. I reckon if you're watching the show, you probably already know them. Just tell us a bit of a story about your, just some brief, not too much detail, whatever you're comfortable with, just a brief on your military career, and tell us about your love of moto and how much you love getting out and riding that dirt bike, or even if you're not riding anymore, about how much your kids love it. And those emails are going to go to my friends who are veterans, Cody and Felipe, and they are going to choose a winner. And we'll get a free Guts seat cover out to you. So make sure you get around that. If you're listening and you know a veteran who deserves a seat cover, and tell him to get around that and jump on board. Cool. All right. Let's move on to a little bit more about Cooper Rabbit, huh? That's Perfect. It. Dude, what's your favorite race ever? If you got that one in your mind where you're just like, that was the best. That was,
Yeah, man, I don't know if I have one. I mean, I feel like you have different areas of like the coolest race you've been to. I mean, Erzberg is probably one of the coolest races I've been to, and then and you have certain ones where like even like an endurocross where you just there's certain days when you just feel on it, or even a certain moto where you
Yeah.
just feel really good. I mean, for some reason, there's been 2 years at the Reno, Nevada Endurocross where 2 separate years where I just had third moto. Both years, I just for some reason something clicked and I was on it and just rode. Honestly, it was very effortlessly, and I was putting down the fastest lap times of the moto and was kind of the fastest guy. And so it's that's a pretty cool feeling to have. It's just it's weird how it works. It's almost those are your easiest motos
Mm.
when you're just absolutely flowing and everything's kind of clicking, which a lot of times on an endurocross track is hard to come by for everything to flow and all that. But yeah, I think it depends. I feel like there's races like Erzberg that are kind of was always on my bucket list to be able to race. So that's obviously gonna be one that's hard to beat. Obviously, if I ever finish that, that'll probably jump to the top and all that. But I mean, going to the super enduros, I mean, there's so many cool experiences that I've been able to do. So it is very hard to pick one for sure.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. That one that hopefully not too long, and you'll have an answer to that question where you can say, "Oh, that was the one," because
Yeah,
you've won something really cool, huh?
yeah, absolutely. So that's the goal this year. We'll hopefully take that one off, and we can talk about that on the next show.
That's it, man. What's the what at an event? So any sort of event, what's the most annoying thing? What just pushes your buttons at an event?
Uh, from people or just from the racing in general, or
Anything, man. Anything. It often is people. It often is
yeah,
things, but yeah,
nah, nah.
whatever. Yeah,
I feel like I'm a pretty easygoing person. I am pretty quiet, so I kind of just sit back and don't do a whole lot of talking. So obviously there's certain moments when it's always great to interact with the fans, but there's certain moments when I mean you'll see issues with even the top riders were like, "Oh, the guy was so rude." And I'm like, "Man, I know him. Like he's a pretty nice guy." But they try to talk to you when you're all heading up to the start line or you're on the start line and try to have a conversation. And it is hard. I mean, we are doing our job. I mean, obviously, it is different than a normal 9 to 5, but at the end of the day, we do have to do our job and focus on that. So I don't really ever think there's anything that frustrates me or has been super upsetting. There's definitely times in a hard enduro where I'm like this is quite miserable to be out here, but that's just part of the hard enduros and
yeah,
the difficulty of that. So that I mean that's part of the track, and everybody's riding it, and we're all pushing up mountains and trying to ride up crazy hills and all that. So I think it is definitely pretty hard to annoy me or frustrate me too much, but there's been very little instances that which I'm very lucky for. So I'm sure supercross guys, motocross guys, they have a bit more people interactions with the parades and what they do there with the pits and all that. So I'm sure they have some good stories.
yeah. You do hear a few about. So honestly, what you're saying about some fans, sometimes a lot of fans. We have great fans in the sport, but sometimes
Oh,
they are rude and pushy. Like
yeah.
they are for sure. Yeah, sometimes. Dude, so you played a lot of other sports. You said, do you still follow other sports? Like, you still follow basketball and football and that sort of
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a very big enthusiast of really all sports. I really enjoy watching as many as I possibly can. I mean, I really enjoy F1 to MotoGP to basketball, football, even some track stuff and all that. I mean, there's not too many I don't at least know a decent amount about. I may not follow them as much anymore, just with time wise, but I
Mm.
do try to follow whenever it's football season or basketball season or whatever it may be. So I try to follow as many of them as I can that I enjoy watching.
Yeah. Who's your basketball team and your football team?
Yeah, so our football team here is the Cardinals, but they're a bit hard to cheer for sometimes. Hopefully, they'll bring it around and be a little bit better this year. But I really enjoy like following the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Just some of the stuff he does. I mean, obviously, everybody wants to hop on the Chiefs bandwagon, but just watching him more as the stuff he does off the field and on the field, the training and all that. It's some of the sorcery stuff that he does. It's pretty cool to watch. And as much as it's different than racing and riding, you can see kind of some of the stuff that like translates to some of the skills that he has that you can kind of see some of the other top riders and stuff have. So you can see what differentiates him from, say, some of the other top NFL quarterbacks as well. And then basketball, obviously Phoenix Suns here. It's I really enjoy watching basketball. That's definitely one thing that I really do enjoy, and I do try to still go out and shoot a few hoops every once in a while, even though they don't go in that often anymore. But it is fun watching the Suns as much as I would love for them to be in the NBA Finals right now. But it is fun watching the Mavericks and Celtics go at it. So I think first game's probably starting right now. So it'll be fun to watch.
On today, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I follow those two sports too, man. So my basketball knowledge is always very limited because I can't watch it. I just look at the
Yeah.
scores, you know.
Yeah.
But I do pay the exorbitant price to watch the NFL every year.
Yeah.
I pay for the international pass and that, and yeah, I get what you're saying. Mahomes, man, you can't deny greatness, but it annoys the hell out of me because I'm a Broncos
Yeah.
fan. So we got to play him
No,
twice a
you
year.
got
So we're going to play him
yeah.
twice a year. So I got
You get
into
the whole
US sport, stick and ball sports in 1997. So that's hence why I am a Broncos fan and a Bulls fan. So
yeah.
that's basically
Yeah.
that all
Jordan and
that
everything.
all lines up. Yeah, John Elway, Michael Jordan. Yeah, so that was 1997, and I'd certainly known. I mean, the whole world knew about the Bulls from way before that, but that was sort of the first year where I actually took a real interest in really following it closely. And I stumbled across the NFL that year as well. So yeah, very good, man. Very good. Dude, talk me through your morning routine on the morning of a hard enduro. So, like, you get up early. Do you try and sleep in? Like, what do you eat? Just that sort of thing, because it's a different thing, man. Like, you're going out there to burn just ridiculous amounts of calories and energy and that. Yeah, what's that morning like?
Yeah, it is hard with hard enduros. I mean, you're burning anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 calories probably during a race, depending on the duration of it. Definitely try to get as much sleep as possible, as much as you possibly can to where you're not rushing in the morning. I try to do a little stretch in the morning. Just try to wake yourself up, do a little stretch. Try to get as much of a breakfast in as you can. I struggle just in general on race weekends or race mornings to eat. It's always been something I've struggled with. And it's definitely not easy for me to eat in the mornings of races. So I try to just eat as much as I possibly can. Nothing very particular, like not eating the same thing every single morning. Obviously, nothing that's gonna super upset my stomach or anything like that. And then it is hard with the hard enduros. It's not like you can have a meal during the race or anything like that. So trying to have little gels or little bars that you can eat throughout the race is ideal. Some of us over the time have been able to make little like straps that can hold bars and stuff on your handlebars, just where it's easy access.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you're in a hard enduro, when you're in a race, as much as obviously the gaps are very big, you don't want to be pulling your camelback off, trying to take a bar out of your camelback. It seems so time consuming, even though I mean the gaps are minutes, tens of minutes between some riders sometimes. So it as much as you want to be in a rush, you don't want to take that time to take it out of a camelback. So I mean really just granola bars. That's something I've really tried to work on this year and try to learn from some of the other guys between Cody Webb and Tristan Hart and a few of the other guys. Try to watch and kind of ask them and see what they do, because it is a tough thing to figure out. I feel like if you can figure out your nutritional side
Mm.
on the race day, during the race, I feel like it can be so beneficial.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I do usually take electrolyte pills throughout the race to try to. I mean, we're just diminishing ourselves so much,
Mm.
sweating and all that, especially back east when it's humid. So definitely electrolyte pills, little gels. Honestly, whatever you can get in during the race, it's not going to upset your stomach, is ideal. And then it's I run like an electrolyte in my Camelback as well.
Yeah.
Usually, so we usually do on average, it's either like a 2 lap or a 3 lap race, whatever it may be. So first lap, usually I'll have electrolytes all in my Camelback. So it's say 80% water, 20% of the electrolytes.
Mm.
And then second lap, usually we'll switch Camelbacks, a lot of us. So we'll take off that Camelback at the pit, have another one already prepped, ready, throw on another USWE Camelback. That's sometimes we'll have electrolytes, sometimes just water.
Mm.
I like it as much as I like the electrolytes and like having flavor. I do like just when you're 3, 4 hours in, sometimes you just want plain water.
Mm.
So usually I'll switch to plain water at that point because when you're 4 hours in, I mean, no matter what you have at that point,
It's
it
too
is going to
late
be
to up
hard.
the electrolytes
Yeah,
by then.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that point, the electrolytes really, I mean, you've
Mm.
done as much as you can do at that point with the electrolyte side. So trying to find little bits and bites that you can eat that are just going to give you that little extra bit of energy that aren't really going to like peak you and then tank right after. So just
Mm.
something that can try to continuously give you a little bit of energy, but that's not just going to be like a candy bar that's just going to spike your energy and then just
Yeah.
big dip right after.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is a fine line, I feel like, on eating and understanding it. And it's something I feel like I've learned a lot about this year and am still learning about because I mean, my first hard enduro was 2019. So I've been doing it for a few years, but not,
Mm.
I feel like so much now to where I feel like I know it all. So I feel like I'm still learning a lot on that side of the nutritional side of things during the race. So it's quite interesting to see what each rider does there. I feel like each rider is a little bit different, but I feel like we're all learning from each other on little things that kind of can help in the long run.
Mm. Cool, man. Yeah. No, I get it. Like, even like I try and do like a race once a year just to, keep in it, whether it's a motocross or an off road or whatever. I just like try and keep in it a little bit. And I struggle to eat, man. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
really struggle to eat. It makes me. I'm not someone that's a big eater in the morning, like ever. And then when I'm sort
Hmm.
of, I don't really get nervous, but you sort of, it's a bit, it's just a bit, you're a bit hyped up
Yeah,
and
yeah. You're just
ready to
excited
go,
and yeah.
and that sort of thing, and the feeling of being full of food really just messes with me.
Hmm.
But it's a catch-22 because I know I need that energy for later on, especially if it's an off-road race. Like
Yeah.
if it's a long
Hmm.
race. So it is it's a tough one for sure. Yeah, I know I've had people that have helped me with training in that before, and they're like
Hmm.
telling me how much I've got to eat and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
And,
it's
yeah.
hard. I mean, some people have no problem eating in the morning, and then I
Mm.
mean, even on a daily basis, I eat a little bit of breakfast, but nothing crazy.
Mm.
But it is hard for the hard enduro races. Like you want to eat as much as possible, but then you don't want to be on the start line like, oh, my stomach hurts, like I ate way too much. So
Yeah.
it is a fine line between eating enough and not too much. So it's something I feel like I'm still learning, but I feel like slowly but surely, I feel like some of the things I've learned definitely do help.
Yeah. So and you'd have to be on that sort of energy conserving energy. It's not like
Yeah.
you wouldn't be like moto guys that are on a spin bike before the race or going for a
Hmm.
jog before the race or anything like that. You'd be saving all that energy up, or do you do any sort of warm up just like right beforehand?
Yeah. Some races will have like a practice loop that we can ride on. So sometimes
Okay.
you kind of do a quick sprint there, try to get the arm pump away.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I I usually get arm pump quite bad, so try to get that to go away really is the most ideal thing. Um, before the main race. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to get a bicycle or like a road bike with traveling and stuff with the rigs we have and all that. But we'll still do just a pretty decent little warm up, nothing
Oh
crazy,
yeah, yeah,
just enough to get the limbs loose and get your
yeah,
heart rate up a little bit, and then go to the start line. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be working out for 20, 30 minutes before,
yeah.
uh, wasting loads of energy. I mean, it's we don't really have that extra energy to be able
Mm,
to waste, no matter how fit you are. I mean, when you're out there for 6 hours,
mm.
it's you're going to be exhausted no matter what. So try not to waste an extra 20, 30 minutes of energy is ideal.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, it's all very very interesting, man. Dude, what's your best advice for kids who a lot of kids out there riding off-road races or they're riding moto and they're like, I want to get into this hard enduro stuff, But what's your best advice for those kids?
Yeah, I think just trying to for those kids like trying to whether it's just riding moto, getting into art or whatever it may be is obviously one trying to have fun with it. Uh, Obviously, everybody wants to go professional at some point when you're that age, but also you want to have fun. You want to obviously take it seriously, but don't. I mean, you see some of the moto dads that are just ripping into their kids and sometimes they become really good, but I mean, you can see a lot of times they don't make it to the professional side of things because they just get so burnt out when they get old enough to realize what they've been doing. They're not doing it for themselves or anything like that. So I think really just for them, trying to have fun with it, try to learn as much as you can from the people around you. Um, Really, one thing I think is I try to listen to everybody's advice. You may not need to take everybody's advice or agree with everybody's advice that they give you, but I think if you can learn and hear what everybody's advice is, and maybe you can take one thing from each person that say could affect you and make a difference in your riding and racing in the long term, I think is ideal. So really just trying to learn as much as you possibly can. It is hard. I mean, it's as much as time you feel like you have so much time does go by very fast. So
Mm.
try to learn something from each person that you kind of pass through in life and try to just have fun along the way. So if you're not having fun, it's going to be hard to push through on those hard days. Obviously, there's days when it's not as fun as others, but if you're not enjoying what you're doing and all that, it's those hard days are going to be a lot tougher than if you're enjoying it.
Nice one, man. Yeah, I like to have fun. I like to have fun. I reckon the kids that do have fun are the kids that still doing it
Hmm.
when they're taking themselves there. Like I think you see a lot of kids once they get to that adulthood and mum and dad are like, oh, you can take yourself to the races now.
Yeah.
They just don't go anymore,
Uh-huh.
because they were going for mum and dad a little bit or whatever.
Hmm.
Those kids, I think, yeah, let them have fun. So they couldn't imagine if it's fun, then they can't imagine not going. It's just like
Yeah. You don't know what to do without it. So
it's
I
not a
mean,
mum and dad thing.
where
It's just a fun
yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely, man. Cool, cool. Dude, I've kept you for a while. There's just a couple more
Oh,
things.
no
Um,
worries. I'm
oh,
having a
hey,
good time.
just a fun question that I like to ask, man. Is who when you're a young fella, who was your teenage crush? Who was your like girl off TV or a singer or whatever? Like I always say, mine was Kelly Bundy from Married with Children. Who was like your teenage crush, celebrity crush?
Man, I don't really know. I mean, I really didn't when I was younger. I didn't really watch a lot of TV. I just literally went out on my bicycle and built dirt jumps, and kind of was old school, kind of a kid where I just was out a lot. I didn't spend a lot of time on TV, and man, I don't know. I wasn't really crazy into that. I'd probably have to say my wife now. Probably be my best option to say.
They're playing it safe.
I'll score some points there, maybe.
They're playing it
Uh,
safe. That's it. Yeah.
but no, I mean, to be honest, I was a kid. I mean, I just enjoyed going, building dirt jumps, doing all that. I didn't really pay attention to
Weren't into
girls at that
popular
time.
culture.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wasn't into the whole normal school kid kind of things, partying, any of that. So I when I was at school, I wanted to go either build dirt jumps and ride my bicycle or go ride my dirt bike and just go play sports in general. So that was kind of when I was home, I was either doing that or when I was at school, that was I wanted to be doing that. So that was kind of just where I was the whole
What
time through
about
life.
did you listen to music much, man? Do you listen to music now? Or you
Mhm.
what are you into?
Yeah. Yeah, I really enjoy music. I listen pretty much to everything. Everybody tells me my playlist is the most broad
Okay.
thing
Yeah.
you can get. So you can go full rock, hard rock to country, then you can go to rap, and then you can go to a full sad song that's gonna make you cry the next song. So I kind of have a little bit of everything. I would probably say I listen to more country, to be honest, than anything. Um, I more enjoy like the old school kind of rap, not necessarily all the new school rap. I would say most of my playlists, if you go to rap, it's going to be all like 2000s, 2010 kind of more rap would be kind of like that's my race playlist essentially. Everybody
Yeah.
goes clicks on rap, and it's not what
Bit of
everybody
bit of
thinks the new.
exhibit, bit of
Yeah, yeah,
exhibit,
yeah,
and
yeah. Some Eminem and
yeah,
some
that's
old
it.
school. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I really do listen to everything. Not really particular on any one. Kind of just depends. One week I'll listen to country, and then the next week I'll be tired of country, so then I'll listen to some more pop or whatever it may be. So it really just depends on the timing of everything.
Do you listen to music on race day?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, I listen to music. I would say at least I would say pretty much every day.
Mm.
But for sure, race morning. Usually, I always bring my headphones and kind of I have a playlist that's called race playlist, and
Nice.
usually yeah, usually race days, kind of more techno, rock, rap kind of
Upbeat,
area.
sort of
Yeah,
trying to
yeah, more
get
upbeat
you
kind of.
fired up a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. I'm pretty calm and low key, so it's takes me a minute to get kind of pumped up and hyped. So I'm very just mellow and monotone in ways. So uh, use the music to kind of pump me up and get me kind of into that focus and in race mode is usually my go-to. I'll kind of put on my headphones usually 15 minutes or so before I'm getting ready and then listen to it while I start getting ready. And then it's like take the headphones off and put the helmet on and it's like, all right, it's go time. So see what we can do.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. What sort of helmet do you wear, man?
I wear 60 helmets.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I enjoy them. So I ran 60s in the past, and then with being with different teams, we ran a couple different helmets. And when I went with Sherco, I was able to pick my own helmet again. And
Mm.
um, so now, yeah, so now I'm with 6D, which they have kind of a combination with FXR. So I usually run like this
Oh, do
60
they?
slash,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, they have like a 60 FXR, just like graphic combo.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, usually uh, the support Yamaha team for Supercross usually runs them.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
so usually
club.
club, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
club usually has them. I mean, they have their other additional muck off sponsor, I think,
Mm.
added to it, but usually it's a very similar helmet to what they would run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I knew you were FXR, and I reckon FXR's come on strong, man. It's great looking
Yeah.
stuff. Like I reckon it's a lot of the time it's the best looking stuff out there. I
Hmm.
reckon at the moment it's
Yeah.
really it always looks cool. Those club guys always
Hmm.
look really cool, and there's a couple other of the moto teams out there running it, and
Yeah.
I reckon it
Yeah.
is good looking stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they've done a really good job. I mean, I feel like they release a lot of new stuff very often. I feel like they're able to release a lot, which I mean, some people release something at the beginning of the year and then
Mm.
maybe they'll release something winter time. But I feel like FXRs, I mean, there's at least a couple a month, it seems like, which I feel like everybody is always that next new biggest thing.
Yeah.
Whenever I see a new set of gear that they come out with, I'm like, oh, I want that. I'm like, then the next month, another set comes out. I'm like, oh, I like that stuff better. So it's always cool. Sometimes they'll send me some stuff before it's released, and that's always kind of a cool feeling is to have some gear that's unreleased. So it is pretty neat, and the people there at FXR, I mean, they're just really good people all around, um, from top to bottom. So that's definitely cool to be a part of a brand like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You got kids, man?
No, no
No,
kids right now, so
no
not
kids
yet.
yet.
in the future, but now the plan is to try to focus on racing and pursue my career there and try to advance my career a bit more and into places and reach some of the goals I have before we go down that
Yeah,
aisle.
you've been married for a while, yeah.
Yeah, I've been married a little over 2 years now.
Oh, okay, so
So
it's not that long,
yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
somewhat new, but yeah, a couple of years. So now she's awesome. So very supportive of my racing and just my career in general, which is not always easy to find. So I think if you can find somebody that kind of supports you and helps you in your career and just makes you a better person overall, I mean, that's all you can really ask for.
Yeah, man. Cool, cool. Something I wanted to mention on the show. Tyler Mickelson, you would have seen. I'm not sure if you recognise that name, but Tyler Mickelson is the guy who works for Barex Suzuki,
Mm-hmm.
who got cleaned up at Hangtown. Hangtown practice.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy. Yeah. So, unfortunate accident. A rider speared off the track and hit him. He was out there spotting for his team. He's I forget what his actual role at Barex is, but yeah. Anyway, he's known to his mates as Otter or Sea Otter, Tyler Mickelson, and he's doing it real tough. He broke both tib and fib, and he's also done a knee ligament in one of his knees. So, which is real crook. And friends of his have set up a GoFundMe for him. So the details of that is Rally for Tyler Mickelson's. So and Mickelson is Mickelson apostrophe S. Tyler Mickelson's medical expenses. So if I'm not super versed on GoFundMe, so yeah, but I'm sure if you
Yeah.
look up in GoFundMe Rally for Tyler Mickelson's medical expenses, um, they're talking like $100,000 medical expenses and that sort of thing with how bad everything is. So, and there's the poor bugger out there doing his job, spotting for his team. And hey, we know it's a dangerous sport. You know, if you buy a track, it's dangerous and all that. So we know all this. But yeah, there's a guy doing his job and it's all an accident and he really needs some help. So if anyone's able to chip into that, that would be greatly appreciated by himself and just by the industry. That the industry is very, very good at getting around people who are doing it hard and looking after people in this sort of instance. So I know that the GoFundMe was already up to a pretty decent sort of number already, but there's still a long way to go to get him to where he needs to be. I did see, I think just this morning I saw a post where he was out of bed and he was all obviously cast and brace and everything and sitting in a wheelchair. So at least he's he's gotten through probably his operations and he's maybe starting his recovery. But yeah, it's a bugger of thing. And then also too, just I really feel for the kid that hit him. I actually forget the rider's name, and I'm not going to say it anyway, even if I did know it. I feel for that kid. It's an accident. I hope that kid doesn't feel too bad. I've been there when bikes have hit spectators, and I've seen the rider just so devastated that he'd hurt someone and that sort of thing, and it all is an accident. So for that young fella, I just hope that he's going all right, and I hope he's got plenty of support around him too. So it's just one of them. Sometimes the sport is bloody cruel. Most of the time, it's the best thing in the world, and sometimes it's a cruel bloody thing, isn't it? So I wanted to mention that on the show. Cooper, couple of things. I've kept you a while. Couple of things to close out the show. One thing I always ask so most of my guests obviously are from the US, and I always ask them to give me their best Aussie accent. And for you, I know you know it. There's a one particular Aussie who you know real well, your brother-in-law Jared. I reckon you're probably not too bad on Aussie accents. You would have spent a lot of family time around the brother-in-law there. So give us your best Jared McNeil impersonation then.
Oh man, it's gonna be hard to give a Jared McNeil impersonation.
Anything Aussie.
My accents are definitely not on par, I would say. But I do I do enjoy hanging out around Aussies. Always good people, but usually start off with a "G'day, mate." but that's really all I got for that.
That's
For
all
that. So
that's all you got.
after I say that, my my accents start changing to other countries, and we never know where it's going to go from there. So we'll stick with that. But no, I do enjoy Aussies are always really good people. I mean, between Will Reardon, Gus Reardon, their whole family, I was teammates with them for a little bit, and then
Oh yeah,
obviously
yeah.
my brother-in-law Jared McNeil. So it definitely have a lot of close Aussies that I know really well, and I mean between Josh Strang and yeah, I mean there's a lot of really good Aussies riders and just people in general that are now in the U.S. So yeah,
Mm.
it's cool to see all them here, and I still haven't been able to go to Australia actually. So the plan is hopefully to go there sometime in the near future. So
Mm.
I've always wanted to go there and spend some time, and hopefully I'll be able to ride a dirt bike there as well. So
Yeah, man.
uh,
Yeah,
whenever you go somewhere new, you always want to ride as well. So
yeah.
hopefully be able to make that happen.
Well, the hard enduro scene, it's really growing here. Like I
Mhm.
remember, when I had Jarvis on the show there a few months ago, and I remember telling the story of like the first hard enduro we sort of had in Australia, and he came over and we didn't even know
Mhm.
who he was, and he smoked everyone and all this other
Oh
stuff, and it
yeah.
was like, what the hell is going on here, And then
Mhm.
that really, for a lot of people, that really introduced us to that sport, and this is 15 years ago, I guess. And yeah, so that was, but it's really growing here, and there's events popping up everywhere.
Mhm.
So yeah, you certainly get a chance to get a ride in over here, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, to see how much it grows over there. I mean, between Aussies coming over here, and I know you guys have your Australian Hard Enduro series now,
Mm.
which I feel like, I mean, just the little bit I've seen on social media, I feel like has been growing. And I saw one of your guys' top Hard Enduro guys that does the Australian series. I saw he did Erzberg.
Yeah, there was
And I
about
think, yeah,
4 or 5 guys over there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I think he got like 20th overall or
yeah,
something. I'm
yeah.
drawing a blank on his name, but
I'm
he
I'm
does
drawing
ride
a
for
blank. Yeah,
he rides for Sherco as well.
yeah.
So that was pretty neat to see kind of how versatile and how many different countries kind of are able to make it to that race, and it's cool to see kind of hard and growing not only in the U.S., Europe, but also into Australia as well.
Mm, yeah. Cool, man. All right, dude. The last thing I do to close out the show, man, is there's a backstory to it that I won't bore you with, but I sing a bit of Kenny Rogers for the outro, man. It's just a fun thing. It's
Perfect.
nothing serious. I always say if you know the words, you're welcome to join in, but most people don't, so there's no pressure. There's no pressure. So I'll just slide into a bit of that. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Cooper Abbott, thank you very much for joining us today, man. Good luck. Get that shoulder fixed up. And yeah, good luck with the all your racing coming up this year, and especially especially that enduro cross season.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you having me. I had a good time on the show, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again soon.
We will be for sure, man. It'd be good to catch up with you. Yeah, maybe towards the end of the enduro cross season or something, and we can talk about how well you're going. Right?
Yeah, hopefully that's definitely a goal. Hopefully, be a number one plate or something like that. So,
That's it, man. All right, cheers, man. Thank you very much for your
I
time.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Cheers. Bye.